linear programming problem number 4 here in our group work packet. And it says baking a tray of corn muffins takes 4 cups of milk and 3 cups of wheat flour. Baking a tray of bran muffins takes 2 cups of milk and 3 cups of wheat flour. A baker has 16 cups of milk and 15 cups of wheat flour. He makes $3 profit per tray of corn muffins and $2 profit per tray of bran muffins. And how many trays of each type of muffin should the baker make to maximize his profit? And as you might notice on this, is the page here is almost blank. We've got the problem and we've got the grid. That's all we have on here. But that doesn't mean that you can't follow the protocol that we've been doing on all of our other problems. And the first thing that we did is we identified which one do we want to be X, which one do we want to be Y. And I'm going to say that X is corn muffins and Y is the bran muffins. The second thing that we did in terms of the problems that we've been working with is we came up with the objective quantity equation. That's our profit equation. And where you might want to write it is underneath your grid here, just in terms of space. Our objective quantity equation looks like f of x and y. And when we go back into the problem, we're looking for where does it say profit. And pretty far down in the problem, it says it makes $3 profit per tray of corn muffins and $2 of profit per tray of bran muffins. So this is going to be 3x plus 2y. And thirdly, now we need to come up with our inequalities. But just as a reminder, where you conceivably can start with that is that x is greater than or equal to 0 and y is greater than or equal to 0. We need to assume that we're going to make some corn muffins, and we need to assume that we're going to make some bran muffins in order for us to make a profit at all. So now, as we take a look at the other things that are happening in this problem, what we have are 2 things happening. Baking a tray of corn muffins takes 4 cups of milk and 3 cups of wheat flour. Baking a tray of bran muffins takes 2 cups of milk and 3 cups of wheat flour. The things happening aren't exactly verbs this time, but the things that are happening are going to be that we have an equation or an inequality that's just going to deal with milk, and we're going to have an inequality that just deals with the flour. And if you can, when you're writing these down, try to write them side by side, because we're going to have to put them back into slope-intercept form. And if you write them side by side, then you'll have space underneath to put them in slope-intercept form. Again, going back to the problem, then we're going to write an inequality that just deals with milk. Corn muffins take 4 cups of milk. Well, ask yourself, how much milk do you use for the bran muffins? And as we look through, it says bran muffins takes 2 cups of milk. And how much milk do we have available? And we've got the 16 cups of milk in that next sentence. Do the same thing for the flour. Well, corn muffins for the flour take 3. And not only do we take 3 cups of flour for corn muffins, but it turns out that bran muffins also take 3 cups of flour. And then what we're looking for is how much flour do we have available? Well, we've got 15 cups. And again, the reason that we wrote this side by side is that we need to put these in slope-intercept form now so that we can graph them. So we're going to subtract 4x from both sides. And we have 2y is less than or equal to negative 4x equals 16. Divide both sides by 2. And when we do, we're left with y is less than or equal to negative 2x plus 8. And from there, we can identify. Well, our y-intercept is 8, and our slope is negative 2 over 1. When we look at our pinkish-purple equation, we need to put that one into slope-intercept form. In fact, we've done the hard part because we've written all the inequalities. Hopefully, now this is a little bit more familiar to you. We subtract 3x from both sides, and we get 3y is less than or equal to negative 3x plus 15. Then it's 3 times y. We're going to we're going to divide everything by 3. And we get y is less than or equal to negative 1x plus 5. Once we have it in that format, then we can identify b is 5. And our slope is negative 1 over 1. And we're going to graph. We want to find the feasible region. And from the feasible region, we want to find the vertices of that convex polygon. But to start, we're going to graph the x is greater than or equal to 0 and the y is greater than or equal to 0. X is greater than or equal to 0 means that we're going to be crossing the x-axis. This means that this is a vertical line. And consequently, y is greater than or equal to 0 is going to be a horizontal line. And when we graph this, there's our vertical. Here's our horizontal, and I do recommend that you use a ruler, even though I'm a hypocrite and I'm not using a ruler. Next, we're going to graph the black inequality, which says b equals 8. Well, b equals 8. And our slope is negative 2 over 1. That means we're going to go down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1, and down to the right 1. And if you are not using a ruler, you should put all of those points on the graph. And here's our line. And we've got one more to graph. We've got that pinkish purple inequality, which says b equals 5. B equals 5. And then our slope on this one is negative 1 over 1, which means down 1 to the right 1, 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 down 1 to the right 1. And there's our other inequality. And after all that, what we need to do is we need to shade. And some of you may be able to see where the feasible region is right now. But if you can't, starting with the x is greater than or equal to 0, which we labeled the vertical line, that's helpful, because we really only have one place to shade. Greater than. And we really only have one place to shade for our horizontal. And now what we want to do is we want to look at our black inequality, our inequality symbol is pointing to the left, which means less. When we come over to this graph here, we're looking at this point that I just put in blue. And where are the points less than 8? Above it or below it? And points are below it are less than 8. It's going to be the same idea with this pinkish purple graph. The inequality is pointing to the left, so it's less. We're going to go to where the graph crosses the y-axis. Again, I put that point in blue. We want to graph where points are less than that. And where points are less than that, it's here, underneath the blue point. And from there, hopefully you can identify the feasible region is here, 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 and here. In that area. That's where all 4 of those inequalities, their shading intersects. What we want to identify from there now, and hopefully you've got space on yours, I don't have space on mine, but we want to identify the vertices. There's a vertice. Here's a vertice. Here is a vertice. And there is a vertice of the feasible region. All of those green points now. I'm going to write the objective quantity equation again because I can't fit it there, but I was hoping that you, underneath your graph, can fit it. The f of xy equals 3x plus 2y. And we're going to identify our order pairs from those green points. Well, the first order pair that I see is 0, 0. The second order pair I see is 0, 5. Again, you don't have to have the same order of these points, but you need to have all 4 of them. The third point I see is 3, 2. And our fourth point is 4, 0. And now we're going to finish. So we're going to put 0, 0 back into our function. And 0 is going to go back in here for x, and 0 is going to go back in here for y. But the thing is, what 0, 0 means is it means that we're making no corn muffins and no bran muffins, and consequently, we're making no money. Our second order pair, we're going to put 0 back in for x and 5 back in for y. This is telling us that we're going to make no corn muffins, but we are going to make some bran muffins. And 2 times 5 is 10. Our third inequality, our third order pair is telling us that we're going to make 3 pans of corn muffins and 2 pans of bran muffins. And type it in your calculator if you need to. 3 times 3 is 9, 2 times 2 is 4, which is going to give us 13. And lastly here, 4 pans of corn muffins, 0 pans of bran muffins, And when we do the math there, whether we do it in our head or in our calculator, we get 12. The last part of this problem is identifying how much money are we gonna make. Well, the biggest number between 0 and 10 and 13 and 12 is 13. So we want to make the most money possible, so we're going to make $13 profit. And how are we doing that? Well, it goes back to the ordered pair that determined that $13, which is that we have to make 3 cans of corn muffins and 2 pans of bran muffins.